Okay, so it's late in the evening, right? But I want to show you guys something, all right? This was one of my first builds, and I'm actually quite proud of it. Is it as cool or as customized as I do now? No, it isn't. However, I want to give you guys a few things that I think it makes it valuable, not only to me, but actually to the public as well, right? So today, what we're talking about the An Pro 2. Well, actually, no. Let me stand corrected. We're talking about the An Pro 1. Okay. However, you can't find the An Pro 1 anymore. So that's the reasons why I'm showing you guys the An Pro 2. Right. So as you can see, the An Pro 2 and Pro 1 are the same. It's a 60% layout, right? And then of course, it's not hot swappable. But the cool thing about this is that not only is it USB, but it's also Bluetooth. So it's one of those that most people would buy, never modified, just run as is, and it's just golden. All right. So when I first started collecting, this was one of the things that I was interested in, right? The Ducky 1-2 Mini, stuff like that. So I like it. With that being said, I want to make it a little bit different, right? So the first thing I thought of was I switched over. Oh, by the way, this is what it is now. Okay. So when I first thought of it, I thought, well, you know what? The first thing I want to do is I want to convert it over to a wooden case. All right. So as you can see, I mean, here's the color that we're talking about here, right? So I thought that was awesome. Like this was the thing to have, like a wooden case, and compared to this plastic case, right, from Obins, right? Compared to that to this, hands down, this is heavier, this is better, this is great quality, right? So I thought, wow, that's pretty cool customized. And then on top of that, the next thing I did was initially it came in a very cheesy, regular, keycap. So then I swapped over and I took this keycap. So as you can see, I mean, for what it is, I think it's pretty nice looking, you know? I've had other people check it out, and design-wise, it is pretty cool. And if you compare this with a lot of the other keycaps, it's irrelevant if you do different colors, gradient, everything. This is by far, for the price, really good keycaps. I mean, is it comparable to, say, a Drop MT3? No. Is it comparable to a Domo Key SA keycap? No, it isn't. However, for what it is, it's pretty nice. Okay, so that's the extent of the initial modding that I did with the An Pro. I took it a few steps further. Okay, so hold on for a minute. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is, check this out, right? So you've got this wooden case, still has a slot to do the reset if you need to. It comes with a palm rest, so it actually is a really nice setup, right? So what else did I do? Well, first things first is I desoldered everything. Okay, so as you can see, if you look real close, you'll see the word An Pro. Yeah. So just to legitimize that this is an An Pro, not a GK, not anything else. It is an An Pro. So what I've done was I desoldered everything. Okay. By doing that, what I've done was I lubed the switches. Likewise, you take a look over here. Let me grab my little thingamajig, right? So check it out. Not only did I lube the stabilizers, I also did a bandaid mod as well. I don't know if you can see this. Maybe you could, or maybe you can't based on the lighting. But I bandaid mod. I did the stabilizers, right? So lube stabilizers, lubed switches. And then lastly, I hot swap the keyboard. So this is going to be a short one, but the cool thing I think is the fact that it still functions the same. The only difference now is you got lube switches. You got lube stabilizers. And last but not least, you have hot swappable, you know. So get this is blue, but the way I lubed it, it's actually fairly smooth. I actually enjoy this blue a lot, right? Normally when you hear people say, hey, I've got a you know, a blue switch, normally people would say, oh my God, it's clicky, it's loud, it's crap. But when lubed right, it actually sounds pretty nice. Okay, so is it in comparison to, say, what I've done with the drop Carina, which is, you know, an actual fix? Is this comparable? Not really. But the mixture between the new keycaps, the lube switches, the lube stabilizers, the hot swap, and the wooden case, for my first, you know, hardcore build out, I think it's fairly impressive, right? I would compare that to, say, for example, for this one, right? This is what? A KDB 67 Rev 2, right? For this one, I soldered everything in. I put the plate on, I put the, you know, so this is a new build from pieces. But if I compare this to this, so lube switches, right? Lube stabilizers. I solder this in. For this one, I actually desolder, lubed everything, shoved it back in, solder the hot swap in, right? And then, of course, lastly, I put the case on. So while this is a much valuable keyboard, because the KBD 67 R2 is actually, or Rev 2, is actually a really good board, and I really love it. But for what I've done with the And Pro, I dare say it's pretty impressive as is, right? Is it valuable than others? No, not even close. Most people would buy the And Pro brand new for about $100. They would buy the cap for $30. They would buy the switches, if they're going to get new switches, maybe another 20 or $30, right? This case alone is $50, right? So if you count all this together, 100, 130, 150, 160, roughly, right? Normally people would just buy a brand new, no, more than 100 something, right? Because if you buy the, so if you buy the And Pro used, that's about $50. So $50, it would be 160. If you buy the And Pro brand new, that's $100. You add in $50, add in $30, right? Just if you count those alone, the And Pro 2 would cost you about $180. Most people with an And Pro would just buy it, use it, and be happy. Now, it's not lubed, stabilizers or switches. It doesn't have a nice case. It's pretty plasticky, but in most cases, people are happy with it. I wasn't, right? Because my thought wasn't, hey, how do I buy a drop keyboard or an Ida bow and just put things together like I did with the KBD. Instead, I took something that was already good, I dismantled it, I made it better, and then I add some more quirks to it as well. Okay? Tell me what you think. I mean, I'm pretty confident most people say that I wasted my time. But for me to actually have that kind of experience of desoldering and resoldering and made it hot swappable, that alone is already pretty cool in my book. Okay? Talk to you all later.